Welcome to this week's edition of Hockey Unfiltered with Ken Campbell. I am Dylan Waugh. I am the sidekick. I am the BJ Honeycutt to Hawkeye Pierce. Today we're going to be talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're going to be talking about some awards predictions, the Anaheim Ducks, and the Minnesota Wild. You can check out Ken at Ken_Campbell27 or myself _Dylan Waugh, or this podcast at Hockey No Filter, and some big news coming up. So, we've got some news.
We do.
Yeah, we're no longer untethered.
That's right.
We're no longer footloose and fancy free.
Yep.
Yeah.
We sold out to the man.
We're the podcast equivalent of pinned. I should have made a Bye Bye Birdie reference. Why didn't I think of that?
Oh my God. Just get to it.
Stop.
Just get to it.
Okay. We are proud to announce that we are officially tied to the Hockey Podcast Network.
Yay for us. Yay for us.
So if, for whatever reason, you don't get next week's episode, you might have to search us up just in case there's not entirely a seamless transition there. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you're going to have to look for the Hockey Podcast Network's YouTube channel. And as a celebration for our joining the Hockey Podcast Network, who's going to be our first guest next week?
Our first guest? Did you ask who's going to be our first guest?
Yeah.
It's going to be none other than Jeff Merrick of Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts, and the Fan 590.
Yes, you might know him from the gym.
Yeah, he's in quite good shape.
Yes.
Yeah, if you don't get the podcast, you can call Dylan's cell phone. It's 416-2 maybe not.
I'm surprised that you got the first four right too.
Well, I was looking right at it.
Oh boy. Yeah, that wouldn't be ideal.
No.
So that's the big news.
Yep.
I'm excited. Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So should we move on to hockey?
We should.
Yeah. Okay. Because who cares about our big news?
We do.
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yes.
Yes. They're a team that plays on a slab of ice.
Right.
And they've had a glaring issue for a couple of years now. Now it's been as bad, not quite as bad as people have thought, but their issue has, by and large, been defense.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say by and large, I mean the lack of large defense.
Yeah.
Now Giordano has joined the team, and we've got a decent sample size with Giordano on the team. What do you think of this team now as they start ramping up to the playoffs? We don't have to ramp up to the playoffs.
Right.
We're good. We're in playoff form right now.
Well, before last night, I would have said not bad. After last night, I would say there's still major concerns about this defense core. Last night was being Tuesday night against the Florida Panthers. They had a 5-1 lead.
Yep.
And they lost 7-6 in overtime. And a lot of the goals, I thought, with the exception of the Radko Gudas goal, which was a slap shot from either just inside or just outside the blue line.
Yeah.
From Radko Gudas.
Yeah.
That was a bad goal. That was on the goaltending. But pretty well every other goal was like right in the prime scoring areas.
Yeah.
And the Florida Panthers were able to get there easily. They were able to stay there easily, and they were able to get scoring chances from there.
Yeah.
So to me, it's almost like if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs, I feel like, you just have to do what you have to be what you are,
Yeah.
And you're never going to be a defensive juggernaut, although they are a lot better defensively than people give them credit for, I think.
I agree.
And I just don't think that in the playoffs, defense has been their problem. In the playoffs, their problem has been that their best players have gone completely and utterly AWOL.
Yeah.
And when I mean their best players, I mean their best players. I mean Austin Matthews. I mean Mitch Marner. William Nylander has actually put up pretty decent numbers in the postseason. But, I mean, they have gone AWOL, and their scoring dried up.
Yeah.
So now I just feel like you have to be what you are. You can't reinvent yourself now. Like the trade deadline's gone by. You've addressed everything that you could possibly address.
Yeah.
Now it's just let's outscore the opponents. And is that a recipe for success in the playoffs? Well, history tells us it's not. But
your bet is made at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Your bet is made. And I mean, Giordano has been good.
Yeah.
He's been good. He's had a couple of those holy cow, I can't believe he did that moments.
Yeah.
I know he got undressed. Can't remember. It was a one-on-one and he just got completely dummied on it. But for the most part, comes as advertised.
Yeah.
Plays tend to die when they come down his side of the ice, and all that. And he's been more physical and that sort of thing. But, last night, Jake Muzzin comes back and they take Lyubushkin out of the lineup and they keep Justin Hall in. And I mean, the whole Muzzin pairing all year has been
not ideal.
To be charitable, terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they've still got issues. They've got issues. They're always going to have issues on that blue line with what they have.
Yeah.
They're better. But I mean, if their scoring doesn't show up again in the playoffs, it doesn't matter how good their defense is. It doesn't matter how bad their defense is. And I just think now you are what you are.
Yeah.
So go and shoot the lights out.
Yeah. Just looking at the last several scores for their games, last night notwithstanding, 6-2 against the Lightning.
Yeah.
So holding the Lightning to 2 goals.
Yeah.
6-3 against the Flyers. Okay. The Flyers are, something less than a juggernaut.
And they weren't terribly happy with the way they played in that game.
No.
Yeah.
7-3 against the Jets.
Yeah.
The Jets, despite struggling this year, do have scoring power. 6-4 against the Bruins, and then 5-2 against the Panthers. That's the last time that they played the Florida Panthers.
Right.
So they're scoring 5 and 6 almost every game.
Yeah.
And letting in 2 or 3 almost every game. I mean, it's like that old joke. It's like, well, do you want defense or offense? Oh, I don't know. Both.
Yeah. But also, I mean, when you've got the puck on your stick all the time,
right,
you don't have to play defense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And when you're in the offensive zone all the time and you're tiring out defenders and you're getting all these great chances, you don't really have to be that good,
right,
defensively.
Yeah.
Right? Because the defense is taking care of itself.
Right.
I mean, it was the same thing with Erik Karlsson. I used to have this argument with everybody. Like, it was like, oh yeah, well, look at all the plays he makes and look at all the mistakes he makes and everything. It's because he's carrying the puck out of the Senators' zone virtually every time.
Yeah.
I mean, of course he's going to make the odd mistake. But look at how many but look at how many plays he creates.
Yeah.
And look at how many times he gets it out, safely and well and on somebody's stick.
Yeah. So those scores, of course, are excellent. Here's where it gets a little bit dicey. In those games against the Lightning, the Leafs had a 49% Corsi for. So in all situations.
That's not good, right?
Well, I mean, 50% is equal shot attempts.
Yeah.
It's just a larger sample size of shots, right? So it's kind of a possession stat, right? Against the Flyers, the juggernaut Flyers, they had 48% Corsi for.
Yeah, yeah.
Against the Jets, they had 60. Against the Bruins, they had 50. And then the last time against the Panthers, 41.75. 41%.
In that 5-2 game, eh?
In that 5-2 game.
I was at that game. It seemed like they dominated. That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess my point is that, when teams tighten up defensively in the playoffs and goalies in a perfect world, unless they play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, step up their game because it's playoff time,
right?
Then you're not going to score at
you're not.
that rate.
No,
you're not going to, if you're not putting the shots up against, the other goalie, you're not going to score.
Well, and the other thing you haven't talked about is it's a completely different game from an officiating standpoint in the playoffs.
Yeah. Well,
completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
So if you can't battle through that
Yeah.
and overcome that, then you're going to get shut down. It's what Ben Sherratt did to them last year.
Yeah.
You know, it's what Montreal did to them last year.
Yeah.
You know, you can get away with so much more in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's stupid in my opinion, but it's true.
Yeah.
And I don't see this year being any different than any other year.
I've got a friend who is the epitome of a self-hating Leafs fan.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of those in Toronto.
He's tortured. He doesn't hate himself. He's tortured.
Yeah. But he says he's so tired of Leafs fans whining about how the refs don't call the rules and the refs hate us and we just try to play a clean game, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, we've known what the playoffs look like compared to the regular season. It's been that way since the dawn of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
The fact that our management has not seen fit to rectify that problem, that glaring problem in their lineup, and instead just whines about officiating, not necessarily Dubas himself, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He goes, how often can you do that before it's kind of a fool me once, fool me twice situation?
Right. And there's and you know, you go out and address it, but you go out and address it by getting guys like Wayne Simmons and Kyle Clifford. I mean, that's all well and good.
Yeah.
But those guys can barely play in the regular season.
Montreal got Douglas Murray.
Yeah. But those guys can barely play in the regular season. Mm-hmm. You know, they can't play. You can't have them playing 12 even minutes a game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You can't.
No. No.
Like Kyle Clifford won't dress.
Yeah.
And Wayne Simmons will be in and out of the lineup and getting 7 or 8 minutes in the games he plays.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So when the guys that you've brought in to counteract that can't play in your top 9, it really doesn't make it a factor.
Then what's the point?
Yeah.
Let's pivot slightly.
Okay.
Just a reminder, check out the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. Check out kencampbell.substack.com for other great writing. And don't forget that if you don't get next week's episode,
call Dylan.
Look it up.
Yeah.
There's this thing called Google, Ken. People don't have to call me, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Let's pivot a little bit on the Toronto Maple Leafs talk. And let's talk about Austin Matthews and the year he's having.
I don't think enough people are talking about that guy.
We're being very meta here by talking
Yeah.
about Austin Matthews. Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of conversation happening about him. And the fact is that, like, rightfully bloody so, he's having an insane year, the likes of which I can't even think of.
Haven't been done since probably the 90s or 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's currently got 54 goals and 41 assists, good for 95 points.
Yeah.
For those that don't have 95 fingers and toes.
Right.
Yes. Like myself. I had to line up all my friends to get all.
Well, you're a carpenter. You don't even have 7 fingers.
He's currently got 95 points. And of course, now the knock on him was that he was just a scorer.
Oh God, stop it.
No, for years though.
Yeah, I know, but
I'm not saying that I believe that.
I'd rather have a guy who gets a bunch of second assists than a guy who gets 60 goals.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
A glue guy.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I'm not arguing for that, but I'm just saying that there's no two ways about it, though. His game has blossomed this year. He had how many assists last night? He had 3?
3 assists last night, yeah.
3 assists last night.
Yep.
This guy is engaged physically.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big fella.
Yep.
Right? He's engaged physically. He's engaged on the assists. And, of course, his scoring is still essentially without peer.
And he's also engaged defensively, but maybe not quite as much as people make it out to be.
The narrative was
like to me,
was
he's not.
that
To me, he's not a Selke Trophy nominee.
No, the narrative was that he was he was like a Guy Carbonneau.
Yeah,
and there's
no,
it's not a chance.
I mean, there was one goal where he just basically did the flyby on a guy last night.
Yeah,
and he doesn't kill penalties. I think to be a Selke finalist, you've got to be a guy who regularly kills penalties. So let's dispense with that. But he's better defensively and he's good defensively. He's really good defensively, but he's not elite defensively. I don't think.
The thing is about like offensive players like this is that defensively, I don't necessarily expect you to be good. I just expect you to try.
Right. Yeah.
And so now think about Ovechkin under Barry Trotz.
Yeah.
Right. He didn't all of a sudden become a Selke finalist, but he just kind of he got there a little bit more than we're used to seeing in his career.
But with centers, it's different because you see that process, right?
Right.
They start out as big scorers.
Yeah.
Then they learn that they have to play both ends of the ice.
Yeah.
And then as their career gets later and later, they become way better defensively.
Yeah.
You saw it with Steve Yzerman. I think you'll see it with Connor McDavid. I mean, you even saw it. You're even seeing it to a certain extent with Sidney Crosby. Yeah. I mean, there have been years where I think Sidney Crosby was a legitimate Selke Trophy candidate.
Absolutely.
The
stats would back you up.
Yeah. So I think it's a little different with centermen because they have to be good defensively. You have to be good in your own end.
Yeah.
You've got to play 200 feet of the ice. Yeah. As a winger, you don't have to as much.
Yeah.
But in terms of his scoring, I mean, it's sublime.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible. Like he's got, and it's not the same. It doesn't have the sexiness of 50 goals in your first 50 games.
Right.
But he's got 47 goals in 48 games right now.
Yeah.
If he gets 3 goals in his next 2 games, he's got a body of work where he's got 50 and 50.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
In any era.
Yeah.
It's absolutely bonkers in this era.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's on like a 68 goal pace this year if he played a full season.
Yeah. And he started off the season with a wrist injury.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He started off the season.
Yeah, it took him a while to get going.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've heard people say they don't think that there's room to grow from here, that he set such a high bar and, blah, blah, blah. But I'm kind of like, I don't know, man. Next year, he's going to be still young. And he presumably won't start the year with a wrist injury.
Yeah, but also, I also think that there might be some credence to that.
Yeah.
He's 24?
Yeah. Oh. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
He's 24.
24.
Yeah.
That's the prime age now as an NHL player. That's the prime age.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I thought last year... Well, and maybe I'm wrong because he's picked it up, but I thought last year we saw the best we were ever going to see of Connor McDavid.
Right.
And okay, maybe it's not the best we'll ever see of Austin Matthews, but he's right in the wheelhouse right now.
Yeah.
Like I tend to agree that I don't think that he's going to get much better because, I mean, how much better can he get? Can he get 75? I mean, John Cooper said the other day he thinks he can get 70.
I guess what I'm saying is that I don't think that he'll necessarily get better than he's playing right now.
Yeah.
But I think that it's not unrealistic to think that if he goes into next year healthy, then this will be the whole season and we'll see numbers that dwarf even these numbers. Is my point. I don't think that his physical, like as he's playing right now, that's peak Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that being better. But I could imagine a scenario where he didn't score much at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So I could imagine a scenario where
he's also got peak Mitch Marner playing with him.
Yes. That's true. Much to the chagrin of Leafs fans, Mitch Marner's right there with like I think it's 88 points.
Well, in terms of points, like if you take it just overall points, his last little while has been even more ridiculous than Austin Matthews in terms of points, which he got 64 in his last 45, something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's something ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you know what? So before we launch off to the next topic about Matthews, I just want to say John Tavares, down year.
Yeah.
67 points in 69 games, good for 25 goals and 42 assists. The horror.
And his goals he's starting to get the ugly ones. You know what I mean? Like he's really, he's going to the net. And I mean, he always did.
Yeah.
But he is really getting those goals where you have to have talent, but you also have to have a bunch of grit and determination.
Yeah.
And he's getting those kinds of goals.
It reminds me of prime Corey Perry.
Yeah, better skater, but yes.
Well, but I'm specifically that net front.
Yeah.
So Gallagher is all grit.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say that he doesn't have talent, but the goals that he gets in front of the net front are bang, 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 right?
Yeah.
Whereas Perry, you'll see him in front of the net being cross-checked by 6 different directions, and he toe drags backhand and roofs it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about with Tavares in terms of it reminding me of prime Perry, is that he's actually making plays in the hardest area of the ice to make a play, as opposed to just being there and having the grit and determination.
Right, exactly. And getting there, taking taking the punishment it takes to stay there and fighting through to get the goals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you were to pick the Hart front runner, who would it be?
I'd have to say it'd probably be Matthews. Yeah. Austin Matthews. I mean, Shesterkin's kind of fallen off.
I don't know that he's fallen off. I think that he's gone from, playing on Jupiter to just plain old Mars.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's one of these things that he set such a crazy bar that anything looks like falling off, right? Price's season after his Vezina Hart year was an excellent season. And yet it looked like him falling off.
I will say too, don't dismiss Connor McDavid in all of this.
Yeah.
Like he's really picked it up.
Yeah.
And they're winning, and he's probably going to win the scoring championship. And I just wouldn't say it's a slam dunk for Austin Matthews over Connor McDavid right now, with still most teams have between 10 and 12 games left.
Yeah.
I think a lot can happen then.
Matthews has 54 goals. If you subtract 54 goals from the Toronto Maple Leafs, they don't win a lot of those games that they've won.
Yeah, but I think Connor McDavid's got a ton
No, you can say this.
He's got 4. Connor McDavid has 4 overtime goals this year.
Wow.
4 overtime goals. He's including last night.
Yeah.
So there's 4 wins right there. Yeah. So I mean, he's scoring big ones. He's scoring a lot of big ones.
Yeah. Look, you're not going to get me to argue that McDavid's not very good.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. If I had to vote right now, right here, right now, in this studio at this point, I'd probably put Matthews as my number 1 and McDavid as my number 2. Maybe Roman Josi as my number 3.
Ooh, interesting, because I was going to ask about Norris, but I guess you've tipped your hand there.
A little bit.
Yeah. Let me ask you before we get on to the next award. By the way, we are now firmly entrenched in award talk, if you haven't figured it out. Let me ask you before we get into the next award. What do you think of the McDavid-Draisaitl debate?
What do you mean? What do I think of it?
Well, there's a lot of people that are... I don't like saying there's a lot of people, because I just feel like that classic Twitter thing where you've made up some person and then you're like, people say that McDavid sucks, but those people are morons. It's like, nobody said it.
Yeah.
Just leave it be. Nobody said it.
Yeah.
But there is a legitimate debate going on, which is, should McDavid... is there a problem with McDavid and Draisaitl splitting votes in the Hart conversation? Or by the definition of the Hart Trophy, should it basically not go to either of them because due to the fact that they have each other?
Yeah, but I mean...
they won't be the most valuable player on their team.
Yeah, but I mean, Phil Esposito and Bobby Orr had each other. Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky had each other.
Yeah.
We just talked about Austin Matthews has Mitch Marner.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't help that you have good players around you. I mean, you can only play with the teammates that you have.
Yeah.
And I just think, I don't think that it's close between McDavid and Draisaitl this year. I think McDavid is clearly the MVP of that team and possibly of the league.
There's only 5 points separating them.
Yeah, I know. But I still think that McDavid's just, his points have been bigger, in my opinion, a little bit bigger. And just, like I said, the 4 overtime goals, everything. I mean, there's no doubt that both of them make each other better, but I mean, I don't know. I don't buy into that theory. Like, you're picking the best player, you're picking the most valuable player, whichever way you want to define it. And I just don't think you should be penalized because you have another really good player on your team. And they're not, like, Connor McDavid's not carrying Leon Draisaitl. Yeah. Leon Draisaitl's not carrying Connor McDavid.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, but there is something to be said that, teams that have a clear defined number one pairing defense will have, and a number one shutdown line will have a question mark as to who are we shutting down. Right?
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of that. I guess I just look at Hart as basically, which player do you subtract from a team? And now, I don't, as much as I love goalies winning the Hart, I also don't love goalies winning the Hart.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just like, by definition of the Hart,
you could give it to him every year.
Every single year.
Yeah, you could give it to him every year. Yeah.
But so which player subtracting from a team makes their team the most worst?
The most worst?
Worse. I think that might be Austin Matthews.
It might be. Yeah. It might be.
Could be Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you go back to those two guys. Yeah. I mean, the Colorado Avalanche played huge swaths of games this year without Nathan McKinnon.
Right.
And they're in first place overall.
Yeah.
And they're currently without Gabriel Landeskog.
Yeah.
And they're in first place overall.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not anybody from that team.
Yeah.
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 I mean, Calgary, Johnny Gaudreau, there's another guy.
Yeah, but if you take Johnny Gaudreau out of that lineup, I'm not convinced that Tyler Toffoli doesn't slot in.
I don't know. No.
He doesn't rack up Gaudreau points, but
No, I mean, he's another guy that's having a historically good season.
Yeah.
So.
All right. I guess I just look at the Calgary Flames as more balanced.
They are.
Generally.
Yeah.
And therefore one player
it's
getting
more of a committee.
Out
it's more of a committee.
Yeah. But you're right. Gaudreau is... he does it for the contract years. Calgary just needs to give him 1 year contract.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll always have historic seasons.
And he'll probably take that after this year. Yeah. No.
Well done.
Why don't they just put him on Philadelphia now for next year? Like, just say, okay, you're playing for the Flyers next year.
Yeah.
We all know it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh boy, Philly. Okay, so Calder Trophy. Who would be your pick if you're voting today?
It'd be Tanner Jeannot.
Interesting.
20 goals, 100 PIMs.
You're counting penalty minutes for this?
Well, no, but it indicates a style of play. You know what I mean? Like last year, everybody in Nashville was losing their minds because they let Kelly Yarncroc go in the expansion draft, and knowing they had Tanner Jeannot to fill that spot. Mm-hmm. Nobody's too worried about that right now. Yeah. But to me, it's Tanner Jeannot. It was Moritz Seider, and I still think he's got a chance. And I mean, even though he's, 26 and is a rookie only on a technicality, I think you've got to have Michael Bunting in there as well.
Yeah. So the Michael Bunting thing is interesting, and we talked actually a little bit about it last night, but I think that I've come to terms with how I feel about this, which is if a 26-year-old, a rookie by technicality, as you mentioned it, is so good. Like they just basically, I guess they have to be so much better than the rest of the field. No, they don't. They just have to be the best one.
That's just in my mind. But they just have to be the best one. He fits every criteria for the Calder Trophy as it's defined. So you can't I wouldn't sit there and go, well, because Michael Bunting's 26, he has to be way better than everybody else to get my Calder vote. No, he just has to be the best one. Yeah. By the definition of the Calder Trophy, he just has to be the best rookie. And if he is the best rookie, You give it to him over an 18-year-old. He's got what's he got? 300 games in the minors?
Yeah.
Michael Bunting?
Yeah.
300 games in the minors? I mean, that's a huge advantage, but those are the rules.
I guess what I'd say is that if you've got Michael Bunting and you've got the next fella and
sound like my grandfather, fella.
You got Michael Bunting, you got the next person.
Yeah.
and I'm going to be so self-conscious by the end of this.
Yeah.
And you and say Bunting's 10% better than the next person's 19. Then I give it to the 19-year-old.
I don't.
If he's 20 or 30% better, then I'm going to give it to Bunting. But I guess my point is that all that experience and all of that weighs into what I think is impressive. What I think is the most impressive rookie performance.
Right. Okay. Well, I base it on who's the best rookie. I don't look at age. I don't look at, but that's how, but to me, that's the fair way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like I vote on NHL awards.
Right.
And so like, I would never not vote for a guy because I think he's a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if
I'm sure you voted for a few of them too.
If player X is in my mind a jerk and I've had terrible interactions with him, and I don't like him, whatever, I think he's just a bad person.
Yeah.
If he's the best player in the league, I'm voting him for the Hart Trophy. Same thing for the Hall of Fame. I would never keep, like, I don't make that decision, but I would never keep someone out of the Hall of Fame just because I thought he was a dick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, I think you base it on what's the criteria of the award and who most meets or exceeds that criteria.
So if I was picking my Calder today, I would do something completely different. I'd vote completely with my heart, and I would say Trevor Zegras.
Okay.
His points are there.
Yep.
They're not
stunning.
He's third in rookie scoring.
Yeah.
Michael Bunting 55, Lucas Raymond 53, Trevor Zegras 50. Right? And then when you just kind of add what he's brought to the game, like the game of hockey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about the Michigan. I'm talking about the smirks. Sorry, we'll talk about that later.
The little comments, the smirks, the laughs.
No, but anyways, Trevor Zegras, he's just so amazing to watch. He's just got so much skill. He's just a guy that doesn't necessarily have the physical attributes of a Connor McDavid or an Austin Matthews or one of these guys, but yet he just does it. Mm-hmm. He just wakes up in the morning and says, I'm gonna be awesome today. Yeah. He looks up in the mirror and says, who's awesome? Yeah, no, exactly. And so he's there in points, right? Like I said, 50, third in points for rookie scoring.
Yeah.
He's there in points. He's got 17 goals compared to Bunting 20, Raymond 22, and Tanner Jeannot 23. So he's not quite there in goals, but he's there in points and just seeing what he's doing and changing the game. And it's just great. So I'd have Zegras.
Are we going to have the conversation we had last night?
We are in a little bit.
About a certain other player that we wonder whether or not he should be considered as a Calder candidate?
Yes, of course. I've cooled on that.
Have you? Yeah. Okay.
We were talking about Cole Caufield. So Cole Caufield is 8th in rookie scoring, but there's a bit of a drop off. He's got 35 points compared to 55 for Michael Bunting.
Right. He's 20 out of the lead. No, like I said last night, I think the best way I can put it is that he deserves to be in the conversation about being in the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he's not I don't think he's a serious contender.
Yeah.
Like he's not top 5, but what he's doing is pretty impressive.
I've attempted to go out of my way to not be a jerk and not
working.
I know. I do such a bad job of it. But not trash talk. Because for those that don't know, I write for Eyes on the Prize. I have a Habs podcast as well. But not trash talk Dominic Ducharme on his way out. I think that a lot of coaches, their first go around the league, they get handed a very large slice of humble pie. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that that's not out of the ordinary. And so I I've gone out of my way to not trash talk Dominic Ducharme, but in this specific situation,
Yeah.
he took the Calder away from Cole Caufield. And or at least he took the ability of the Calder away from Cole Caufield.
He took any chance he had of winning it away from him.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't say he had Calder away, but
let's put it this way. Under Marty St. Louis, he would have had a chance.
Yeah.
Under Dominic Ducharme, he had no chance.
If what we've seen under St. Louis was his year all year, and that's not saying that it would have been.
No.
Because it's not. There's a million different things that happen in the game of hockey.
Yeah, and plus, who's to say that he wouldn't have hit the wall if he was playing against tough competition every night, every game, that would have worn on him because he's a college player who didn't play many games last year. Yeah. But he would have been right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. So it's a shame. He's another one that's just really fun to watch.
Yep.
Not as fun as Trevor Zegras, but like, did you see his goal last night where he shot it right through the goalie?
Yeah.
Like that was just, oh man, so much power on that release.
That's fun too. It's fun to watch that.
To take a wrist shot from the top of the circle.
Yeah.
That goes through the goalie. Like it's
weird. Eh? Like a guy that big, you'd think, how does he get so much behind that shot?
Doesn't shock me.
Well, no, and it's like Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
Connor Bedard has an NHL shot, and he's getting bigger. But even when he was like 5'4", he could shoot like a friggin' NHL player.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned we brought a radar gun to one of the old beer league skates that I used to play with.
Oh God,
and,
really?
We were measuring the shots. One guy played in the AHL. One guy played in the O. Those two guys are brothers, both over 300 pounds.
Yeah.
The guy that won the slap shot competition, and they can both skate too.
Yeah.
The guy that won the slap shot competition was 5'2".
Wow.
He shot it 130 kilometers an hour.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
That guy is the only guy that has taken my glove off of my hand.
That's an 80 mile an hour shot for a beer leaguer. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
He took the glove off my hand once.
Yeah.
Like I gloved it and the glove came off.
If I did that, it would be different. It'd be registering different speeds because they'd have to take into account the flutter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh my, it would be just,
be terrible.
It would be.
So let's move on to Norris. Speaking of slap shots, let's move on to Norris. I think that we're in the same place for Norris.
Hard to not give it to Roman Josi at this point.
I mean, like you've got Cale Makar is there, but
his points, Cale Makar's points have
tapered
waned, have waned a little bit, not a ton, but a little bit.
Wane is a woodworking tool term, eh?
Okay, sure.
Just towards the edge of the grain of wood. Anyways,
okay.
I just thought that was interesting. I thought that you
did, eh? Wow, that's interesting that you would think that's interesting.
You enjoy some good etymology as much as the next man.
Yes, I do.
I mean, okay, so Roman Josi, 84 points. Cale Makar, 75 points. I feel so bad for Cale Makar because he is having, by all definitions, an excellent year as a defenseman points-wise.
Yeah.
And Roman Josi just turned around and said, hey, guess who
Hold
I am?
my beer.
Hold my beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I mean Victor Hedman's still having a great season too. Like to me, those are the top three.
Points.
Those are the top three. And you know what? Like
Adam Fox is at 67. The reigning Norris
winner. I know. And you know what drives me nuts is people like, oh God, it's a defenseman. Why do you have to give it to the guy with the most points? Because the guy with the most points is doing the opposite, right?
Right.
He's keeping it out of your end. He's creating offense.
Yeah.
Like people don't realize that when a defenseman plays that way, it kills so many plays or so many possible plays that could come against you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's hard for a team to break out of their own zone when the puck's in the back of their net and you're going back to center ice for a face-off.
Yeah.
Really hard to break out of your own end when you're doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, so to me, points do matter for defensemen. They do. They matter. They absolutely matter.
Here's the thing.
And in the case of these guys, in the case of these three guys in particular, like it's not just points. It's not just points.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because, and I was just about to jump to that, because for defensemen over 500 minutes, guess who leads the league in Corsi for percentage?
Roman Josi.
Cale Makar.
Oh, Cale Makar. Yeah. Okay.
Roman Josi is a ways down that list. Now, Cale Makar does start 60% in the offensive zone.
Right.
So he has a little bit of an advantage there. But still, I'm just saying, the shots are going that way and not this way.
Yeah, that's always bugged me. That's always bugged me. If a defenseman has a lot of points, it's almost like he gets maligned.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, geez, I don't want offense from my blue line. I really don't want the puck to not be in my end all the time.
Yeah.
Like, and I really don't want that guy who can get the puck on his stick under pressure and get it out of my zone on a forward stick.
I remember talking about the Latrade, Shea Weber and
Latrade
and PK Subban. And I remember, like, oh, I can't believe it. Weber's older. He's got bad Corsi numbers. He's got bad this. He's got bad that. And then the guy goes, yeah, Dylan, you're right about all that, but he's got 20 goals.
Yeah.
And of course, back then, like, the scoring was way down compared to what it is now. He goes, Dylan, he's got 20 goals. I went, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's a good
really
thing.
Good.
If your team gets 20 more goals, you should be happy. Right? So, yeah, I think that we're both on the same page with the Norris. It's why overthink it?
Yeah.
Somebody is putting up historical numbers.
Yeah.
And looking good in the process. And dragging his team to the playoffs.
Yep.
Cale Makar doesn't have to do the heavy lifting. That's why he's got those offensive zone starts. Right? Because he's got a deeper team.
Yep.
Roman Josi's doing a lot.
Okay, it's a percentage thing, so he's going to get more by volume.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because they're starting in the offensive zone more probably.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we get on to the next subject, don't forget to subscribe to the Hockey Podcast Network. Don't forget to check us out next week when we'll have Jeff Merrick with us. And don't forget to check out, for writing specifically on the next topic that we're going to be talking about, kencampbell.substack.com. Ken, can I tell you a story?
Well, you're probably going to anyways, but...
So, I'm driving down Queen Street, and there's this spot, right? And this guy tries to get into the spot with his pickup truck, and he can't fit, okay?
Yeah.
And I've got a smaller car, and so I go in, and first try, parallel park, bam. He tried forwards, he tried backwards, he tried sideways, he couldn't get the truck in.
It must be because you drive an electric car, and you're better than everyone else.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a given.
Yeah.
So anyways, I couldn't help myself. I smirked a little bit. I grinned a little bit.
Yeah.
And of course, he got out of the truck and beat me to a pulp mercilessly.
As you deserved.
Well, and that's the thing, is that I feel that I'm a better man for it.
Yeah,
because
you learned.
I should learn that I should never be happy about anything because it might hurt someone else's feelings.
Right. Where are we going with this?
Troy Terry.
Yeah.
Jay Beagle. Talking about the Anaheim Ducks now. Do you have any thoughts on that incident before I go into my montage?
No, not really.
Not montage.
No.
I could make it a montage.
Yeah, let's not. No, not really. I don't really have very many strong thoughts on it.
You don't have thoughts about fighting in general. Do you want me to take
Well, it's just to me it's like it's counter to what I usually say, but I don't understand these people who are like, Jay Beagle needs to be suspended. What, for beating a guy up? For punching a guy in the head too many times?
Who are you? Did you get punched in the head before coming
but
here?
It's just, to me, it's just like, what was he supposed to do? He's supposed to, like, okay, this guy's coming at me. This Troy Terry guy's coming at me. He's supposed to, in that split second, go, oh, it's Troy Terry, who, let me check hockeyfights.com. Oh, has no fights. Oh, let me check NHL.com. 32 goals. Oh, let me check Hockey DB. Oh, I've got 3 inches and 25 pounds on him. Okay, well, I'm not going to fight. Like, if you're going to condone and support this garbage, And that's what it is to me, garbage.
Right.
If you're going to condone and support and promote this crap,
Yeah.
then do not cluck your tongue and point your finger when it goes sideways, because things happen. Okay? If you're only going to penalize fighting with a 5-minute major, and you're going to pat Jay Beagle on the back after for fighting a guy, then don't be surprised when he punches someone in the head and the guy gets his face busted up. You know? I mean, don't do it. It's either you want it or you don't, and it's proven that the NHL wants this. They love this stuff. They love this stuff. Do you hear someone? Well, I mean, Tyson Nash.
Yeah. Who I was referencing earlier.
I listened to Craig McTavish talk about a fight between Mason Gertson and Zach Kassian.
Yeah.
And he talked about it like it was like the most honorable, wonderful, beautiful thing that hockey's ever had. Because Mason Gertson asked Zach Kassian to fight, and Zach Kassian said, yeah, but we can only throw lefts because I broke my face or whatever, and I can't get hit on that side of my face. So they only threw lefts, and then afterwards they patted each other, and they went off and visited sick kids in the hospital, and aren't these guys wonderful people, and isn't this beautiful, and doesn't this make our game lovely? Like as long as you're gonna have that, and you want to promote it, and you want to make these guys heroes and all this other garbage, then don't be surprised when it goes sideways.
I mean, to me, this is not complicated. This is not complicated. Troy Terry was not engaged in a fight, and Jay Beagle did.
Right.
And then Troy Terry got his face beaten in.
Right.
And I said this to you last night, and this is the big shocker here. I am not an anti-fighting guy. I am actually a pro-fighting guy. I don't like fighting like the 90s. You know, I remember growing up the 90s and the 2000s when it was, you know, a fight every 2 seconds and
Dylan Waugh, you are part of the problem.
Ty Domi,
you are part of the problem, my friend.
Okay, no, but hear me out. Hear me out. I'm on a period of self-discovery here.
Okay.
I don't like fighting like the 90s, but I kind of like it today. You know, it's once every few games, like fighting is down. I kind of like it as just a little sprinkle on the game, right? But here's where I'm kind of landing on this. Okay? It's just like you wrote in your Substack article at kencampbell.substack.com. Substack for Hockey Unfiltered wrote, there are 5 pages in the rule book around fighting.
Yeah.
To me, it's not that complicated. Because I watch boxing, right? I can't do MMA. That's just too brutal for me. But I'll watch if there's a good boxing match on. I'll watch it. I do feel a little bit bad because I do know that their heads are really getting beat around bad. But I'll watch it. So I don't want to be a hypocrite here. But it should not be more complicated than if me as an adult and you as an adult playing a sport as adults, being paid for it, said, I would like to fight you. Would you like to fight me? And you say yes. And then we drop the gloves and fight. It shouldn't be more complicated than that. And the fact that this stuff, this garbage, keeps on happening and keeps on coming up, I'm almost ready to say I'm done with fighting in the league.
Yeah.
Because what it adds to the game, and I do think that it adds to the game, because that's me personally, right? I'm entertained by it, and it's an entertainment industry. So I'm just speaking for myself. But what it adds to the game right now is being outweighed by what it's taking away from the game.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, look, guys, if you can't play nice with the toys, we're going to just have to take the toys away.
Right. Right.
Because this is just getting outrageous. It's not that complicated. If somebody wants to fight you, then fight them. And I'm tired of the code. I'm like, if I were to make one change to the fighting rules, it would be premeditated fights. I'd be like automatic suspension and non, what would you call it?
Consensual. Yeah.
Non-consensual
They actually use the term willing combatants in the rule book.
Right.
Stupid.
But anyways, my point is that like, I feel like it just shouldn't be this complicated.
It's not.
Paul Byron hit Mackenzie Weegar high, got suspended for 3 games. That's good. The DPOS did their job for once.
Yeah.
It wasn't a hugely egregious hit, but it was a high hit, and so he got 3 games. Paul Byron gets back, and Mackenzie Weegar says, well, I guess we better fight. What?
Yeah.
He was already suspended.
Right.
What do you mean he has to answer the bell? He answered the bell when he gave up 3 games of paycheck.
Right.
That's the bell. The bell is not... We're trying to get head injuries out of the game.
Right.
The bell... So now we've got 2 on the same play? Right? Because Paul Byron's 5'6".
Yeah.
He's 160 pounds. You know what? To reference this guy, Don Cherry said the funniest thing about Paul Byron once, and it's always stuck in my head. He looks like one of those pictures of those underage World War I soldiers coming back from battle. But he kind of does. Yeah. He's so skinny and small, and his clothes just hang off of him, and he can't find a helmet small enough to fit his head. And Mackenzie Weegar is going to fight him? Anyways, it's just like I said, if it's this complicated, I'm ready to say I'm okay with it being out of the game, and I like fighting in hockey.
Yeah.
But if it's this complicated that we have to see this kind of garbage,
but that's what comes with it. That's the problem.
I hear what you're saying.
Either you have it or you don't. And if you're going to have it, then you're going to have this kind of stuff happening. So either you want it or you don't. Like, all I ever hear from people in the fighting debate is, oh, it's nuanced. It's complex. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not nuanced. It's not complex.
Yeah.
You're allowing people to throw off their gloves and bare knuckle punch other people in the head. Either you want it in the game or you don't.
Right.
It's not complex. Not at all. There's nothing complex about it.
Well, I think I'm bringing up a relatively complex side of it, which is that I do want it in the game, but I'm getting sick and tired of what comes with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you can't have it in the game. You're right.
I guess so.
You got to,
Look, I told you the story.
That's why you can't have these things.
You can't have your toys. We're taking your toys away.
Right, exactly.
I told you the story. My wife and I went to her first hockey game several years back, and the game had everything in my mind. Okay? It was her first hockey game. She'd never watched hockey before. She grew up in Zimbabwe.
Right.
Not a whole ton of ice hockey being played there.
Not a lot.
And then and she fell in love with the game because we went to a game where there was a come from behind victory. Max Pacioretty got a hat trick, and Jared Tenority and Gryba fought. As far as I'm concerned, that's the trifecta of a entertaining hockey game. And we were in the third row at Canadian Tire Center because they basically just give away those tickets for Canadian Tire Center.
Yep.
But my point is that I'm not going to lie. The fight enhanced the experience for me.
Okay. Well.
But like I said before, I'm coming around to this idea of getting rid of the fighting because I can't stand seeing this.
Yeah.
Well. It's not complicated. If Troy Terry was willing to drop the gloves, then I don't care that he scored 30 goals. I don't care that he's not had any fights. If he's willing to drop the gloves, then he should be able to fight. And if he's not, then he shouldn't.
How do you feel about PK Subban fighting Oliver Wahlstrom over a hit on Jack Hughes?
The fighting over clean hits is so dumb.
It's the dumbest.
But again, if the guys are willing to go at it, then they're willing to go at it. I remember,
but Oliver Wahlstrom wasn't.
No, you're right.
Yeah, he got jumped.
Situation.
He got jumped.
And
to me, it's just like
Alexei Emelin hip checked a guy in the Colorado Avalanche at the end of a game, and Montreal was winning like 10-1 or something like that, right? So he hip checks the guy, and Jerome McGinley goes and tries to engage with Alexei Emelin. He cross-checks him. He threatens to drop the gloves. And Emelin just went, no.
Yeah.
And that was the end of it. And that, to me, is what fighting should be. So you gave him the extracurricular. You challenged him. He backed down. And that's that.
Well, if it's a clean hit, you shouldn't even have to challenge the guy if it's a clean hit.
Yeah,
and everybody talks about
a huge hit at the end of a 10-1 game.
Everybody talks about, how... taking the physicality out of hockey. Like, I would argue that if you have to fight when you hit a guy clean, that discourages hitting.
Yeah, that takes the physicality out of hockey.
That discourages hitting.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, moving on to another Anaheim Ducks topic.
Yep.
Getslav announces retirement. So My big question to you, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
I've been thinking about this. I think he is.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that I'm not sure he's a slam dunk, but he's one of those guys where it's not egregious. Him getting in is not egregious.
No.
I mean, he's won a Stanley Cup. He's won an Olympic gold medal. He's won a World Cup. He's won a World Junior gold medal. He's won an under-18 gold medal. He's got 1,000 games. He's got 1,000 points. He's got almost 1,000 penalty minutes. He checks off a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of, like, we talked about Marleau, Patrick Marleau as a Hall of Famer. And to me, you've got to have two things to be in the Hall, or you should, I guess, in my mind, ideally have two things to be in the Hall. One, you need to be one of the best for a period of time. And then you need to be good to great for a longer period of time.
Right.
So a great example of this is Marty Brodeur. Won a couple Vezinas, so was the best for a period of time, but then had a long career where he was very good, right? And
there's those cups too that he won.
Well, I mean, that's
I think
fair
too.
enough.
I think too, where you sort of part of the measuring stick here is, for how long have people been talking about, we got to get that big number one center, especially the Pacific Division.
Yeah.
Like we got to get that big number one center to go against Ryan Getslav.
Yeah.
Like he was the prototype for the longest time. Not a real tough guy, but a tough guy to play against and tough to play against.
Yeah.
And, pretty amazing leadership qualities as well.
Yeah.
So I think that comes into it as well.
Yeah.
Plays his whole career for one team. I think that's got some cachet to it too.
Yeah.
That's not something you see happening almost ever anymore, So I think he absolutely ticks off enough boxes to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So we're looking at, what are we, 22, 23, 24. He's in the Hall of Fame class of 2025.
Maybe. I don't know that he ever reached that height of, I mean, obviously he was tall, but of being one of the best.
No.
Right. And so that's my one knock against him. He had a long career of being very, very good.
But he was one of the best at being that prototypical big presence down the middle.
Yeah.
Like I said, like every time you talked about it, it was like, well, he's got to go up against Ryan Getslav, Andrzej Kopitar, but the list almost always started with Ryan Getslav.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think that I think that we're fairly on the same page, which is that not necessarily a slam dunk, but
no,
he should be in the Hall.
Absolutely nothing egregious about him getting in.
Yeah,
in
I
3
wouldn't
years.
cluck my tongue to see.
Yeah.
So before we get off the Anaheim Ducks, I want to ask the question: where do you think their rebuild's going?
Well,
I kind of felt like Getslav was supposed to be a part of it.
No, I think he was sort of the stopgap to kind of get them through. I mean, the rebuild, we know where the rebuild is. It's with Troy Terry and Trevor Zegras and Jamie Drysdale and whoever they have whoever they're going to get in this year's draft and, those guys. So are those guys good enough? They are. I think it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a while before, and it'll probably be beyond when John Gibson's a really good goalie.
Yeah.
So, I it's got a ways to go.
Yeah. Do you think that they're going to bulk up after this year, like the New York Rangers did after last year?
Oh, because they had a Tom Wilson problem. Yeah. Maybe. I guess. I don't care.
You don't care?
No.
Well, I mean, it just, the thing is that what always fascinates me in the NHL is when a team takes a hard left turn based on like one incident.
Yeah.
So, and my favorite example of that is the 2010 Washington Capitals. Won the President's Trophy and then just ran into the Great Wall of Halak at the playoffs.
Right.
And then just went, well, I guess we're redoing everything here.
They did?
Well, aside from Ovechkin.
Yeah.
But they changed a lot after that year.
Yeah, and it only took 7 more years for them to win the Stanley Cup.
Well, I think that they were undoing the damage that they did after 2010.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I was surprised that the Leafs didn't do the same thing after last year, that they didn't overreact to.
Well, if they get slapped in the face again this year, I mean, you've got to
have to sooner or later.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
So I'm just asking about do you think that Anaheim's going to overreact?
Well, if they do, then like, what are they doing, right?
Yeah.
You had Nicolas Delorier and you traded him at the deadline.
Yeah.
I mean, he was your guy.
Yeah.
That was supposed to stop all these things from happening, Yeah. But I mean, yeah.
Violence begets violence, my friend.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
All right. So before we get out of here, let's talk about the Minnesota Wild.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a final reminder, check us out as of next week on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. Check us out. And don't forget that if you don't get next week's episode, resubscribe. We've been getting some nice comments on YouTube.
Oh, we have? Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody told us, keep up the good work.
Okay.
Yeah, which is,
What? Yeah, but they could be like, keep up the good work, Stivs.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible.
Yeah.
And we've got a few nice comments on Castbox, and we've got one nice comment on Apple Podcasts.
Okay, I don't even know what Castbox is.
It's just another podcast listening platform.
That's nice.
Yeah, I won't mention the comments because they make fun of some colleagues. Okay. No, it doesn't make fun of colleagues. Anyways, neither here nor there. Okay. Neither here nor there. Yeah. Minnesota Wild.
Right.
A lot of people are picking this team to be a dark horse at this point. With everyone calling them so underrated, is there a chance that they are basically reaching overrated?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No. I think that's legit. I think now that
you put them the top of tier 2. So like if tier 1 is Colorado,
I don't know if I put them top of tier. Yeah, they're in tier 2.
But that's what a dark horse.
Yeah, they're in tier 2. Yeah, they're in tier 2. They're in tier 2. Yeah, for sure.
But the top of tier 2.
They're right up. They're close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if your tier 1 is Colorado, Panthers, Tampa.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't think so?
Yeah. I mean,
Calgary.
Yeah.
You could maybe put in tier 1. Then the top of tier 2 would be Minnesota, then Toronto.
You wouldn't have Carolina at the top of tier 1? Yeah, I'd have Carolina in tier 1.
They were actually, and speaking of these two teams,
Carolina
was letting in a few stinkers against Minnesota the other day.
Yeah.
That was not a good look for the Carolina Hurricanes. And I won't get into that. Some of the comments about Freddie Anderson and like how like there's something bizarre about Freddie Anderson where no matter where he is, like he can do no evil. Every time that he makes a mistake, people just jump on to like, oh no, he was reading it like this. It's like, well, stop a puck.
Yeah. Just stop it.
Yeah, that would be helpful. But so you'd put Minnesota towards the top of tier 2.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah. Not like they're not. I'd put them towards the top.
Yeah.
I mean, Toronto's in tier 2, I assume.
That's who I'd put at the top of tier 2.
Yeah. I think they sort of vacillate between tier 1 and tier 2.
Yeah.
Sometimes they look like tier 1 and other times they look like tier 2.
Yeah. Well, we won't know until we see them in the playoffs.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
The Dumba injury is going to hurt them.
Yeah.
That's really going to hurt them.
To me, it seems like a lot of people are in love with the story of the Minnesota Wild. Like there's a very, like if they win the cup this year, there will be a movie about it because it's kind of so perfect.
Yeah.
They weren't supposed to be this good.
No.
And then they just became this good. Then they trade for Marc-Andre Fleury, right? A lovable veteran, right? And then and next year they're going to run into such huge cap problems that this won't be an option again next year.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Teams always seem to find a way to sign the guys they need to.
The finagle.
Yeah. And when you're as good a GM as Bill Guerin is, I think, their cap problems are going to be largely because the buyouts are really, they sting.
Parise.
They start to sting in the next couple of years. They're really, really like it's what between the two of them, it's like $7 million in cap space.
I think it's more.
Is it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's obviously going to be a huge factor. But what Bill Guerin was pretty bold with this roster. I mean, he buys out Suter, he buys out Parise, he lets Devin Dubnyk walk, he lets Eric Stahl walk. And so what happens? Then you get guys like Marcus Foligno and Ryan Hartman and Kevin Fiala and guys like that going, okay, now we've got to pick it up. This is our team now, and we've got to bring it. And they're doing that,
Can I tell you, next year,
Yep.
6.37 million
Each.
The
Yeah.
year after that, 7.37 each. The year after that, also 7.371. And then it goes down to 833,000. There's a little bit of like you know what I mean? Like movies love to make an artificial deadline, right? Like they like a good movie narrative is like, this is your last chance to win that legal thing, or else you're being fired from the firm and your wife's leaving you. And life doesn't really work like that. Like I screw up constantly and my life's doing just fine. Right. But life doesn't really, but that's like how movies work. But that's kind of, it just makes me think of this Minnesota Wild team where it's just sort of like next year you've got $13 million in unspendable money.
And basically a flat cap. So you've
basically a flat cap.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if part of the reason why this is really caught on as a story is because there's a narrative here that's really fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think people look that far ahead, to be honest with you. I just think this is a team that's overachieved. They're better than people thought. They're a pretty good team. They're not a great team.
Yeah.
But they're also a team that, you could see them getting hot in the playoffs. You could see them putting it together and winning a couple of rounds.
Yeah.
I don't think they will win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
But I think they have the potential to be a fun story to watch.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching a few of their games and stuff, kind of in preparation for talking about them today. And they are offensively.
Yeah, they're very non-Minnesota Wild like. That's the other thing here is that they're not. These are not your father's Minnesota Wild.
Yeah.
Or even your older brother's Minnesota Wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Koivu years are gone.
Yeah.
And, even like a guy like Joel Eriksson Ek, who I've always liked as just one of those great hard-nosed grinder type players. He's got 40 points this year.
Yeah.
Right? It's great to see guys like that. And then, of course, Kirill Kaprizov has 87 points in 68 games. Outrageous. Matt Zuccarello, 71 and 61. Kevin Fiala, 61 and 69 games. This is an interesting team. And I mean, Marc-Andre Fleury, I hardly think of as a slam dunk in net.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, you don't.
Yeah, Marc-Andre Fleury is like a box of chocolates.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially in the playoffs, right? So, yeah, I don't see him as a slam dunk in net, but he is the kind of guy that, he might just carry them to a Stanley Cup final.
Gets on a heater.
He did that with Vegas.
Yeah.
That's not too long ago, and he's playing well. He's got I was actually just looking up his save percentage. It's I can tell you in just 1 second. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought that he was close to the top. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Not. It's something like a 915 or something like that.
He's not close to the top. I mean, he was really good in Chicago. He was really good. And he's been quite good in Minnesota.
Oh, there you go. He's got a 930 in Minnesota.
Right.
That's what I was looking at.
Yeah.
He's got a 930 since he joined the Minnesota Wild. Now that's 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
But
small body of work. Yeah.
But he was getting very little help in Chicago.
He's getting no help in Chicago. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was being nice.
Yeah.
Like, let me just try to turn over a new leaf once in a while. Okay. I was trying to be nice.
Okay.
He's getting very little help in Chicago, and he's getting more help in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's putting up a 930. So maybe. Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here?
OHL Cup. I was at the OHL Cup the other night.
Yeah.
A team called the Mississauga Senators won it.
Yeah.
And there's a kid by the name of Michael Misa on that team. He's a person you want to remember.
You wrote about him for the Toronto Star.
And for my Substack as well, kencampbell.substack.com. but
you took my line, buddy. You never step on another person's lines.
Sorry about that. No, but this kid, it's interesting because he's applied for exceptional player status to play Major Junior Hockey as a 15-year-old next year. All through the tournament and before the tournament, every scout, every agent I talked to, everybody I talked to was like, there's 3 kids who have applied, none of them are getting it.
Right.
And then this kid goes and he breaks Connor McDavid's record in the OHL Cup scoring record, has 10 goals, 20 points in 7 games, including 3 and 2 in the final game. They win 6-2 and he has 3 goals and 2 assists. He's in on 5 of the goals. Like it was a dominant performance by any metric. Mm-hmm. And, I look back and okay, so they say, okay, well, it's he's playing in a more watered down league. Well, maybe, I don't know, but he's still the best one. And secondly, I do know that the year Connor McDavid got his exceptional player status, he had no points in the OHL Cup final. They got beat 1-0 by the Mississauga Rebels.
Right.
And this kid had 5 points. I mean, I get the sense that the worm is turning here and that I think we're going to see this kid in the Ontario Hockey League next year.
Yeah.
His name's Michael Misa. He's 15 years old. He's dynamic. He's skilled as all get out. And I think he's going to be a top prospect. He's going to be a special player. He's not going to be Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard special, but he's going to be damn good.
Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting to watch how that shakes out.
Yep.
Mississauga is not in the GTHL, is it?
They are. They are.
They are.
Yeah, it's weird. They are in the GTHL.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then it's not really that watered down of a league.
Well, there's
He's playing against the Marlies and the Junior Canadians.
Yeah.
And,
the Marlies and the Junior Canadians and Mississauga are the good teams, and then there's a lot of really it drops off real quick after that.
I've got a student on one of those dropped off
teams. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's getting a lot of scouting.
Probably getting a lot of reps too. Yeah.
He is getting that.
Yeah.
He is getting that. All right, so thanks so much for sticking around. You can get this episode, other full episodes, and of course, Ken's writing at kencampbell.substack.com. Don't forget, we're joining the Hockey Podcast Network, if I haven't already said that once or twice today. And so check us out on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a lot more interesting stuff with them, some live Q&As, all kinds of great stuff. And of course, if you don't get next week's episode, please re-look it up on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcast, CastBox, whatever. And just in case there was a bit of an interruption there with the Hockey Podcast Network as we go over to their servers. And of course, please leave a comment or a review. We appreciate all of them. We appreciate all of you. Take care.